I purchased my first home in 1980. It was a 3-bedroom, 2 full bath, living room, dining room combination, eat-in kitchen, single car garage, and it was $43,000. Well, after coming off of the 2% interest rates we had about 2-3 years ago, I do see the increase in interest rate being a factor that has taken some people out of the market because they cannot afford what they desire. My position on that is then, what can you afford? Start somewhere.
So if you could pass along only one piece of information to prospective home buyers who are looking to purchase their first home, what would that one piece of advice be? Welcome to another episode. In this episode, I am having a conversation with Cynthia Davis. She is a real estate broker, over 30 years of experience in the real estate industry. She's taught other real estate agents, taught other real estate brokers on how to be better brokers. And she just has a wealth of experience in life, particularly when it pertains to home ownership, when she purchased her first home, how that journey led from where she started from, through flight attendants, through teaching, on into real estate, and having this long, successful career in real estate as well. So it's a great conversation to tune into, and stay tuned. Thank you for being on today and allowing me to take this time to interview you. So thank you.
Thank you for having me, and I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Where are you from originally?
Originally, I am from Georgia Peach. I'm from Eatonton, Georgia, Putnam County.
Okay, so why real estate? Was that something that parents were in, or what led to the direction to go into real estate?
You know, I saw an opportunity. I received an opportunity in my early years to enter into real estate, and I just went for it. And as it has worked out, it is something that my parents were into. They also had a little real estate landlord situation going on, and I guess I just followed into their footsteps without knowing it.
Oh, gotcha. So was real estate always the goal? Is that what you were always led to want to pursue? Or was there another goal in mind, like growing up? Were you involved in any other activities?
Well, initially I was in teaching, and the goal was to teach. I started out teaching in elementary school, but that was not the end goal for me. So as it goes now, I am really still transitioning my way into teaching on multiple platforms, we'll put it that way. And so I teach real estate across the state. I teach some national courses for the National Association of Realtors as well. And so I also am an instructor of biblical studies and as well as leadership studies. So
a lot of instruction.
Training is my platform.
Okay, so with the school teaching, what subjects?
Taught math.
Math, okay.
And music.
Music. So musician, so you play instruments?
I have. I have played far better in the past than I play right now because I don't play as often as I used to. I was a choral director when I was teaching in elementary school, but I've also been as they call it, a choir director for several churches. Been an organist and a pianist for other churches and things of that nature. So yes, in my former years, I was a little bit better than I am now. I play for me now, put it that way.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that as well. So did you play in the band any at school?
Oh, now you're getting ready to tap into my favorite place. My favorite place is instrumental in the band. Absolutely. I started out in high school in the band. I started out on a clarinet, went to the flute, and then I ended up in percussions, and I went to college. And I sailed there because I joined the Marching Wolverines
Marching Wolverines. What was that? What college?
It was Morris Brown College. And we were well known for being able to play and step at the same time. And
Nice.
so I was in the percussion section. Thoroughly enjoyed those years there, but I also sang in the chorus. My last year in college, I did. So I've traveled a lot with the marching band because we naturally travel for football games, but we also travel and performed at the Tournament of Roses parade and at Macy's Day Parade. Hey, I got to play with Chef at the halftime with the Atlanta Falcons. So
Oh, you can't complain about that, then.
cannot complain at all. It was good to me. Music has been good.
So getting out of college, did you go straight into real estate or into teaching following that and then led into real estate, or did you go into real estate first?
I actually went, after college, I went to complete my master's. And I completed because my end goal was, like I said, to be in leadership and to be in teaching. But I didn't want to teach only students. I wanted to teach adults as well and in supervision. And so I went to grad school at the University of Georgia, and I received a graduate degree in educational leadership and supervision. And so after that, the requirement was that I had to teach for several years before I could move into that position. And so I did that. I taught for several years, and then I went into teaching, and then I went, and then I also went into the airline industry. And so, so I've been doing, it has taken me in different paths.
Gotcha.
But while I was in the airline industry is when I fell in love with real estate.
Gotcha.
And had the time to do it. And that's when I began my career in real estate. And here I am today, still doing it.
So a variety of different working opportunities in your background that led to real estate ultimately. So speaking of real estate, when did you purchase your first home?
I purchased my first home in 1980, October. I forget the exact date. I remember the month. It was October of 1980, and I was one proud lady.
Gotcha. And this was before you became an agent?
Yes, it was. It was before I became an agent. And so, which means that I was really going solo pretty much. And so I purchased my home. That was my goal. That was the start of the real estate for me. And actually, I purchased my home in 1980, but in 1982, I became a licensed real estate professional. So I guess the purchasing of the home and me encouraging other females to do the same and other males to do the same really sparked an interest in me into what I could do in real estate, because I now saw other people making that same purchase. And so in 1980, because we're 44 years removed from there. I was going to say, are you trying to count up the years?
Oh, no, not at all. It's a beautiful thing. You know, it's a blessing to be here in 2024. So
absolutely.
I'll say, do you remember how much the housing price cost, just to juxtapose that from what housing prices are today?
I know. And I do remember how much that home cost. It was a 3-bedroom, 2 full bath, living room, dining room combination, eat-in kitchen, single car garage, and I had a deck on the back and a fenced backyard in a very nice neighborhood at that time, and it was $43,000.
That sounds like the down payment for some houses these
I know.
days. $43,000 for 3-2. That is awesome.
Absolutely.
So, what was the interest rate that you had on that house?
Now, see, talking about going back some years, this was prior to them discontinuing the fact that you could assume someone's loan. So the FHA loan that was on that house, I actually assumed. So I gave the homeowner the equity that they were asking for, and I took over the note, and the mortgage went in my name. So that was how assumptions went back then. So it was a matter of me having saved money enough to be able to pay someone their equity, and I assumed the property,
Gotcha.
the mortgage on the property. And even though I was, quote, in a very good job, I don't remember the interest rate. I do remember it being very low. But I was having challenges qualifying for the property that I wanted alone. And so what I ended up doing was just taking the cash that I had, giving someone their equity, and I assumed their mortgage. Much easier process since I had been saving my money, much easier process. And so therefore, I was still able to accomplish my goal.
And so
to become a homeowner.
Gotcha. And so why did you select that as your first home? I mean, were you just ready to move into home ownership? Did you research the neighborhood? Was it your dream home? I mean, were you just looking for something that you could afford? Why did you select that particular property as your first home?
I selected that property as my first home for several reasons. One reason was because I could afford it at that point. The mortgage payments were excellent for me.
For $43,000, yeah. Much better than today, but
absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. So the mortgage payments were good. I could get into that property and in a neighborhood where I knew that there were other people that worked for the same company airline that I worked for at the time. And so I knew of the neighborhood because I was also working with people that lived in that neighborhood. And at that time, that was an up-and-coming neighborhood. And so that property became available, and I was able to secure it as my home. Will I say that I can say it was what I needed for me at the time as a single female. Probably more home than I needed, but it definitely fit the budget, and it definitely fit the location was near my work.
Okay.
And so I was close to the airport at the time, and it was good for me. So there were several factors, like I said. Affordability was one, location was one, and then I was comfortable with some of the other people in the neighborhood. And so it made it a good place for me at the time.
Okay. So fast forward a couple of years, because you bought your first home in 1980, but in 82, you became licensed as an agent. And what were some of the things that you learned after becoming an agent that, looking back on when you bought your first property, you would have maybe done a little bit differently, if there was anything that you would have done differently?
Oh, yeah. There were because a couple of things for sure. One is I went solo into this process. I went in unrepresented.
So no agent.
No agent. And I went in just wanting a home, just hungry for a home. And I went in not negotiating. So those are two factors that I have still haven't been able to let go of completely. However, I learned from that experience. And so now I carry that experience with me. It didn't come back to bite me, but I probably could have, positioned myself even better throughout that process if I had representation.
So you went in without representation. You were just ready to be a homeowner, essentially. What concerns or anxieties, fears even, did you have about purchasing your first home, not having an agent, just out there looking? Or did you have any of those worries?
See, I was so locked in to the fact that I wanted a house until I did not even consider any other options or concerns that I needed to be concerned about. They say, well, you don't know what you don't know. all I knew is I wanted a home. Now, afterwards, and after I went to real estate school, that is when I learned there were other things that I should have been concerned about. Age of units and systems and home inspections and things of that nature. Those things I just totally skipped over because I was not familiar with that process.
Yeah.
It worked out. I ended up getting a good home, but that I would not recommend that for anyone else. No way. No way.
Gotcha. So looking at the housing market today and how different it is from when you first purchased, what are some of the concerns that you have for home buyers entering into the market today looking to purchase their first property?
Okay, we can start with what I just said earlier. Get good representation. I know we have the internet now, which we didn't have when I purchased my first home. And I know there's a lot of information out there on the internet that tell you what you should do, and that don't believe everything you see on the internet. When you get into a real live situation, there are things that you don't know to ask, and therefore you need someone who's representing you to be on your side. Someone who's looking out for your best interests, someone who has gone through this on multiple occasions, and they know what pitfalls to help you avoid. So that is one thing for sure that I would suggest that someone do off the bat. And the second thing that I didn't do was get a home inspection. That is a pitfall that is avoidable. Get the home inspection. Now, what I hear often now in the market, which I have to really restrain myself rather, is when I hear, well, my cousin, my uncle, my aunt, or whomever, they know a lot about houses. We will not pay someone to do the inspection. We're just going to let them do the inspection. And I know you're comfortable with family or friends, but at the same time, the liability that comes with that, they're not going to take on. And so I would strongly encourage someone, be aware that you need to be aware, because whatever you're purchasing all of it. That's what I tell people. You purchase that you see, and you purchase that part that you don't see. So you need someone there to be your eyes who are trained to look for these things. So get a home inspection.
Okay. So what challenges do you see in the market today for home buyers?
This very day, the challenge that I see is, one of the challenges that I see is inventory. We do not have the inventory, but we have the number of people in the market to absorb the inventory, but we have more than that. So inventory is an issue for buyers right now, because what I see is that they will grab sometime the first thing they see because they know shortage on inventory, and therefore they move a little bit quicker, some of them, and a little bit more anxiously, and have a tendency, I see a tendency, no, we're just going to give them what they want, which is fine, which is good, especially in certain situations. But then there are other things that we need to consider when we're negotiating. And bringing on someone to be your eyes and ears for you can help you in that part, and actually put you in a better position than you ever dreamed of. So get a team of people on your side.
Gotcha. So I know you said the inventory being one of the things that people need, and also having the right guidance as well. Right. Do you see home prices or interest rates really being a huge factor, or do you see those as being something that are just indicative of any real estate market that can be navigated around?
Well, after coming off of the 2% interest rates we had about 2-3 years ago, right after the pandemic, absolutely, I see that being a factor, because some people that could qualify during those times they couldn't buy a property because everything was flying off the shelves. Everything was going for over asking price. And it took money that some people didn't have to invest at that time. So I do see the increase in interest rate being a factor that has taken some people out of the market because they cannot afford what they desire. My position on that is then, what can you afford? Start somewhere and then work your way to where you want to be and then move on forward from that point. But what I see in the market now is buyers saying, no, we can't buy now because we can't get everything we want. Well, get what you can. Build equity in what you can get, and then turn that equity into help you to obtain the home that you want to get.
So on that note, starter homes are said to be something that is more or less not available today, at least in the traditional sense of how you used to be able to get a quote unquote starter home, a 3-bed, 2-bath, 2-bed, whatever it might be, for, $100-something thousand, or something that was more affordable for maybe someone who is a couple of years removed from college or something like that. But now we've got, individuals that are well into their 30s and 40s looking to purchase their first home because you just don't have those same priced homes. Even at a $200,000, $250,000 price range is a lot harder. So do you see that as being something that also kind of sways people's decision in terms of, hey, you know what? There's not such thing as a starter home anymore. And maybe there is, but I might as well, if I'm going to spend all this money, just get everything I want now.
And that's the mentality that I see frequently. I won't start where I can. Mm-hmm. I want to be where I want to be, regardless. And there is not a thing such as a starter home now. It is it's affordability. What will your finances and your credit allow you to purchase? And that is where you have to start. Now, as far as affordability with we don't. You don't see what we used to call starter homes. A home that you can afford is your starter home. Mm-hmm. The home that you can get the most of what you want in a home, that is your starter home. So it's more as though the market used to dictate what was the starter home. Now I say that the client or the customer dictates what the starter home is, and that is you start from where you can, from the place that you can afford.
And you still think that's the best route to take in terms of not waiting till you can get what you really want, but go ahead and get what you can get right now?
Absolutely, I do. Because what I did it's the same thing. Let's think back. What you asked me the question, was the home I purchased exactly what I wanted? No, it was not. I told you I could not afford what I wanted, but I got what I could afford. And in doing that, equity was my friend. And in doing that, the equity in that home took me to another home.
Do you still own that home? The first one that you purchased?
I do not, because I used that equity. I sold that home, and when I actually used the equity in that home to purchase the home that I'm in now.
Okay.
I used it, and then later on, I ended up selling that property, which still was more equity there for me. Mm-hmm. So it ended up being a much better purchase than I actually thought it was, because financially, it was really good for me. So that's why I say you decide what the starter home is. Don't let someone tell you these are starter homes over here. Start where you can and move from there.
Do you see relief coming for home buyers with all of the concerns or the issues that we've spoken of thus far? The inventory shortages, the housing cost and everything. Do you see there being relief coming to home buyers or people looking to purchase their first home? Or is it more of a thing that buyers are going to have to adapt to where we are now because there's not going to be a change or a shift or something coming to help relieve some of the, strain or the burden on trying to get over that hump of becoming that first-time homeowner?
I do see relief coming. And I think there's enough dialogue going on right now between National Association of Realtors and Congress that we have to develop programs to bring assistance to the people who really deserve the home of their own. And so what I'm seeing is multiple types of first-time home buyer assistance program. Now, the first-time home buyer has to understand that perhaps you owned a home, but then for whatever the reasons, let's say you relocated and you sold that home, but let's say you have not been a home buyer for 3 years. Now you can go back in the market as a first-time home buyer. So I do see programs coming available to bring assistance for down payment assistance and things of that nature to help people gain that home ownership. I do.
Okay.
I think there's enough talk in the right places to make that happen, even more on a wider scale than so now.
Would you say that home ownership is still a good move today as much as it was back when you purchased a first home, or even immediately following the Great Recession in 2008? Because there are a lot of individuals with the housing prices where they are, interest rates where they are, think that home buying might not be as appealing or as good of a move because of where we are in the market today. I think the average home price in the U.S. is closer to $450,000, somewhere around there currently. And so, with all of that, do you still believe that home ownership is as good of a move today as what it was when you purchased your first home or immediately following, the Great Recession?
I do. I think home ownership is something everyone should have the opportunity if they desire to have it. Why I feel that it is a good move? Because statistics show that home ownership makes for better neighborhoods. And there's a sense of pride, ownership, that you're taking care of something that is yours.
And is that speaking from personal experience?
Yeah. But I also hear it through the years, I've worked with many, many people. And I've taken people out of renting situations and put them in homeowner situations. And I've never had anyone who come to me throughout all these years and say they regret not being a tenant. They always, certain responsibilities come with home ownership that do not come with being a tenant.
Oh, absolutely.
But the wealth, the financial wealth that comes with home ownership, that is perhaps the largest savings account that most people come to have. And that is the equity that they have in their home. Now, for some people, renting might be their best option if they do not plan to stay stable in a home for a few years. If they have a tendency to like to move every year or every other year, some people are just, they don't want to stay steady. Then maybe renting is their option, but at the same time, I would encourage them to still work their way towards a property, be it an investment property or not, where they can still take advantage of that savings account that comes with home ownership.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So you've seen many market cycles throughout your 30 plus years of experience and just in life in general, because you even before that, when you bought your first home, throughout all the market cycles you've seen in the housing market, which one would you say was the toughest or the most challenging?
there are two markets that really, come to mind, and it's kind of hard for me to choose one over the other right now. But the 2008 market, when the bubble burst, I was doing a lot of new construction during that time, and so everything had been booming, and all of a sudden you see it coming to a halt. Okay, but now we have a lot of properties that are still for sale, and as we found out, we were overbuilding. So it was tough to get those, properties moved at the same time. Then we're also dealing with people who were losing their homes, because at that time, one of the means of financing was just fog a mirror, is what we said. It's no income documentation.
Mm-hmm.
If you had the funds, and they were doing interest-only loans, and these loans were coming to fruition, and you had to come up and pay these huge payments that they had not been accustomed to pay, and so now their income had not increased to what the now new payment is. So you have people, homes of foreclosure. So we're dealing with emotions. And dealing with emotions and people crying because they could not get their homes sold at that point. And we were doing a lot of short sales. So people were not able to take advantage of the equity that they had in the property, if there was any at all, because now they're asking their mortgage company to allow them to sell their property for less than what they owed on it. So that market was tough, and there were some other little details that went on in that market. But I tell you what, the pandemic, that market, 2000, 2001, when everything was flying off the shelves.
Oh, in 2020, 2021?
2020,
yeah.
Yes, that market, that was a tough market. Interest rates were very, very low, but it was so challenging and difficult for your, quote, first-time buyer to get a property, because there were multiple offers. And when I say multiple, it was not uncommon to have a property that had 30, 40 offers on it. And so, I had listings during that time, and people were saying, this is our 19th home that we placed an offer on, our 20th home.
Oh,
and then,
wow.
So it was tough, and you were dealing with another set of emotions at that time. So both those markets run pretty neck and neck for me.
Okay. So both the pandemic and the Great Recession 2000, and they're on different sides of the spectrum too,
Exactly.
because you got one where foreclosures were huge, but then on the other end, so much equity in homes because home prices were just skyrocketing because the demand was so great, so high. So.
And it goes right back to the supply and demand.
Mm-hmm.
Right back to it, supply and demand. When the demand decreased in 2008, and we had overage, so then what happened to prices? They went down. That was the only way that, sellers could move those properties. But then in the 2021, 2020, scenario, not enough supply, but the demand was great. So they increased the price point.
So if you could pass along only one piece of information to prospective home buyers who are looking to purchase their first home, what would that one piece of advice be?
Okay, what would that one piece of advice be? Take care of your finances. Make sure your finances are secure. Make sure when you get ready to make that step that you have been consulting with someone to help prep you and prepare you. Because there's more, know the full detail, not just that, I'm going to get get into a program where I can get down payment assistance. Maybe down payment assistance might come with it, but then there is also closing costs that have to be covered. Then there are also things that you want enough finances in your pocket to be able to handle those unexpected repairs. Those are the things that you do not want to derail you as a new homeowner. You want to just be able to get in if something happened, have the resources to take care of it. So, and not take yourself up to the tip top of what the lender says that you can qualify for.
I've heard that before too, where you kind of want to go with what's comfortable for you and what fits in your budget.
And what I think I see most often is people want the home, but they don't have the plan to keep the home. So know what you need, not just for right now, but, you say, it's just me for myself, it's just me going to be in there. All I need is a 2-bedroom home. But do you plan on bringing a spouse in, children in, whatever? But just have a plan in place that you'll be able to either stay there or you'll be able to grow there. But my thing is finances. I see people cut corners even on title insurance because they're short on finances. And that's something you don't want to cut corners on.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So one question that I'd like to round things out with, if you could do one thing, anything in the world, and be guaranteed not to fail, if failure were not an option, what would you do?
What would I do as it pertains to real estate?
No, as it pertains to anything.
As it pertains to
anything in the world, and you were guaranteed to succeed, failure was not an option. What would you do if you could do anything and you would not fail?
Okay. Starting over is not an option, though.
Unfortunately, due to the time thing of Back to the Future and can't really get back to the past, it would have to be from this point.
It would have to be from this point forward. From this point forward, what I think I would do is not be afraid to take more risks. I'd buy more properties. I would definitely increase I would get rid of the fear. I would not let fear stop me from being able to fly an airplane, jump out of an airplane. Now, I still got life in me, so I could do either or the other. But right now, one of my greatest aspirations is to teach. People around the world about the benefit that comes with being who you are and not allowing someone to dictate who you are. I often have the saying, am I who I was created to be, or am I who I have become because of situations? There are hungers and desires in me that I know I want to speak and teach. And I would go for it if I knew I wouldn't fail. So
would that be the same thing if you could go back in the past? Would anything change?
No, because I know I was created to teach. I know I was created to teach. I know I was created to bring value to other people's lives. I know I was created to make a difference in not just the pool of people right in front of me, but I know my pool is wider. Mm-hmm. And I know that I have a platform that I can help people grow. Leadership, opportunities, and in biblical studies, in real estate, it is all incorporated together. And that's what I see now. All the paths that I've been through are all connected. So I don't think that one area is an island to itself. It's the integration of all of what I've gone through and been through that brings and has prepared me to be able to now. Opportunity came for me to take a platform and a stage and speak the truth about who I am. or who they can become by not allowing fear and the perception of money. I can't do it because I don't have the money.
Gotcha. And yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about not being afraid to take more risks, because I've heard so many just people in general, generally people who've lived more life and have seen more things, that say, you know what, if they regret more the things that they didn't do rather than the things that they did and failed. It was the things that they never even took the step to attempt or even try, that they're like, what if I had tried that? What if I had did that? Even if I had fallen flat on my face and failed. I've heard that again from a number of people, where they're like, I just wish I would have taken more risks, lived life a little bit more, done some of those things that I really wanted to do, but I was afraid to because of money, because of, whatever those hurdles or barriers were that were stopping them from taking that next step forward.
Right. And hindsight, they say, is 20/20. But yes, so moving forward, I don't want to be able to repeat those same regrets. So it's intentionally pushing myself. Now I'm able to do some things now that I used to dream, but that's not my end goal. And so I don't want to settle for where I am now. Move forward. So that's what I would say to my younger self.
Okay.
Don't let things stop you.
Well, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to allow me to have this conversation with you and everything. And yes, I look forward to the next time that we speak.
Same here. And thank you for having me. It's been my pleasure.
No worries.
Okay.
Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode.